Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. I'm very good. Bettering, yeah.
I know I can see Urdu. I see at times you typing it on social media as well. Where have you learned all that?
Pardon?
Where have you learned all that Urdu?
Where have I learned? I just know, just from playing against you guys, whether it be just Pakistanis and Indians, because Urdu and Hindi is,
Yeah.
pretty similar. So the greetings are different, but then kind of the rest of it is kind of similar. Just being like just in change rooms, and
Yeah.
there's loads of Pakistan. I played cricket with loads of Pakistanis in and around here, so I'm always trying to learn their language and their numbers, and like you're out, do. We'll try and take 2 runs. So I try, and when I've been batting with them and things like that, I try and sort of do as much as I can in Urdu or in Hindi, just because it's kind of good fun. It's just like.
Yeah, but with me, you were giving me in English, not in Urdu.
Yeah, I didn't know too much Urdu back then. I didn't know as much as I do now, and I don't know very much. I just know the real basics, like hi, how are you, and the thank yous, the good nights. But I couldn't order in a restaurant. I couldn't do anything.
Okay.
Special.
Firstly, I want to thank you for taking time out for my show.
Cool, all good.
And I just want to start with it, if it's okay with you, and then let's start and have a chat with you. So,
yeah, man.
I'll start in my language, and then certainly I'll back into English.
Huh?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम व्यूअर्स, स्ट्रेट ड्राइव फैसल इकबाल के यूट्यूब शो पे आप मेरे साथ हाजिर हैं। और जैसे कि आप देख रहे हैं कि इस वक्त मेरे साथ आई हैव वन ऑफ माय डियर ओल्ड फ्रेंड फ्रॉम न्यूजीलैंड, माय गेस्ट टुडे, Mr. O'Brien, the famous fast bowler from New Zealand, and he's now settled and living in England, but he's a proper Kiwi. He recently was in New Zealand as well, where there was quite a lot of story we were reading all over social media and all around that he got stuck. He will definitely put a light on it as well. So I'll start with it with Mr. O'Brien. Welcome, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Shukriya. Koi baat nahi, yeah.
The Pakistani fans would love to hear your Urdu words. I was just talking to you a while ago about the same thing. And, in our part of the world, when people hear from you, Lord, some Urdu words, the good ones, they really appreciate it, and it just make them excited to talk to them as well. So I want to start.
I think that's in every country. Like every country I've been to, I've always tried to learn a little bit of that language. So whether it be going to Mexico and learning some Spanish, whether it be some small Spanish when I was in Argentina, or with cricket, going to Bangladesh, going to India, Sri Lanka, haven't been to Pakistan, but you go everywhere, and traveling around here, we're close to Europe, so learning a little bit of French, Italian for those little trips that you go away. And if you offer up meager, very torta of very little bits of their language, they know you're trying, and then they give you more in return. So it's a very simple sort of thing to do that actually can get you just a little bit more love and a little bit more care from the people that you're hanging out with. So I always try and learn some new words when I go when I'm traveling.
That's brilliant. I want to first ask you about how's your Mrs. health, and how's everyone keeping, because obviously when you landed back, I think 15 days you were in quarantine, and everybody was around. So just put a little bit of light for us on what actually happened, and why there was a big news, and the way you appreciated everyone around when you came back. Just put us a little bit of light for everyone.
So I was supposed to get back. So I had a month sort of holiday break out of New Zealand. I was supposed to leave New Zealand on the 25th of February, 25th of March, whatever it was, and ended up not being able to get that flight back because they were cancelled. I booked 2 other flights, hoping to get them. They were both cancelled. That money is still tied up, so I'm still trying to get refunds for those flights. So I managed to find another flight on another airline, and that was a lot of money flight. So I didn't have sort of the cash to kind of just buy another flight, because it was quite a bit. And so I sort of thought, well, I don't really want to do charity, but I said that I would swap some of my time. We'll do some one-on-one chats. If people want to do that, they can put some money into a GoFundMe sort of account, and it can be like a transaction. And so I've done loads of sort of face-to-face chats on Skype and Zoom, etc. And just sort of trying to, because I couldn't really just take people's money, because we're not, at that time we were short, and it might have changed a few plans in the short term, but so it was kind of nice to make it a transaction for me that made me feel sort of more comfortable with it. Got home, 2 weeks in quarantine, which was fine. Bedroom and ensuite, so sort of no big deal. Kids at the other end of the hallway, wife and kids. So I was pretty well looked after. Still haven't left our property. So I've been back now sort of a month, I guess, and basically haven't left the property. Can't go anywhere because we just can't go out and cause any worry. My wife's got a lung disease, lung problem that if she gets it, it could really, really cause some damage. So we just stay in our little self-isolated bubble. We've had quite a bit of help from friends around, so it's going okay. The kids are doing all right. That's the hard bit with their homeschooling and them getting frustrated not being able to see their friends. But I think we're doing okay. I think the kids are getting through it all right.
Yeah, I think we all are going through with the same process, because I was busy in the PSL as well, and suddenly as we were close to the playoff games and everything just got stopped, and since then almost over a month and a half now we are in quarantine. I was supposed to go to England as well for my English season, and all our overseas club contracts have been cancelled for all the players around the world. So it's been a tough time for all of us, and I can understand, how tough it is as a player, as a coach, and as a parent. We all are.
This would be your first English summer, or the first time you haven't been over here for quite a wee while, wouldn't it?
Yeah, this was my 25th year actually.
Wow.
And just imagine, it all started. England is kind of like a second home. I started there as under 15 World Cup, so I captained Pakistan, and then onwards there was no looking back. We normally tours for the under 19s and the 18s, and then the test and ODI cricket. So it was like a long way. But England has always been a place where I've learned, I've groomed, and I've learned a lot of things as a professional by playing for all the clubs. I've played against counties, when we toured with the test ODI side, we played side games and all that. So yeah, I have all that taste of all sort of things in England when I was there. But coming back to you, I want to take you back a little bit in your time, and before that, I want to ask you, what are you doing these days now in England? You were a Kiwi, and you came and settled in England. I still remember the last Test match you played was against us, and unfortunately or fortunately, it was me who was playing against you. But that was my first Test match, and I've always seen you before playing against you, and we always used to say the likes of you and Martin and Tuffy and all that. Tuffy is always a good friend of mine. So, there's always been, we used to discuss and everything. And I didn't play the first 2 Test matches. So, it was always talks in the dressing room that, who we have to, plan to attack and, defense and things like that. So, I remember playing with you in that game. That was some good memories. I'll talk about it later. But
what were the plans? What were the plans what were you trying to do to me and Chris Martin and to Tuffy and Southey? What were the plans to us as bowlers?
I'll tell you, against Tuffy, Chris Martin, I played them in the 2001 Test series also. Yeah. So I knew of how they normally bowled and seen them throughout the year as well. But with you, we were just thinking of there are times that he'll get aggressive, and that's where the time we can, take advantage of him. This is what I was thinking, and I was discussing in the team meeting, because I didn't play the first 2 Test matches. So I was sitting and observing everything. So I just said, okay, if I'm normally a middle order batsman. I'm on the 4 and 5. In that Test match, nobody wanted to bat at number 3. And there was a situation where Umar Akmal, yeah, I think he batted 3 in a second test match or something, and he said he don't want to bat it in number 3. And there was a situation before the test match that who's going to go number 3, and I said, okay, if nobody is going, I can go. I'm here. I don't want to waste my time, so I can go and have a go with it. Yeah. And all I just was doing was preparing myself, like I always do, watching you bowlers. With a team analyst, I was watching with the slow motion of all the bowlers and everything. Tuffy and Martin, I played them before, so I was just watching the old clips and the new clips. Are they still bowling the same and things like that? But with you, I was just going through the mind games that he gets edgy, and that's where can I get him to score runs, and luckily I got through it. And but yeah, that was good experience. I'm sure when you guys play with us as well, I'm sure you guys do plan things according to us too. How do you guys prepare against when New Zealand played against Pakistan?
Yeah, we actually have a when we were playing, and I look at them now, and I think they still do. New Zealand, I thought we were one of the better prepared teams in terms of like scouting, in terms of having like a booklet, a dossier, if you like, on players from all over the world. And so the Pakistan section, we had pretty good access to footage from previous games. Akmal's we had seen some one-day stuff, not so much test stuff. You were kind of new, but we knew you wouldn't hurt us if we bowled okay to you, if that made sense. We had so for like Muhammad Yusuf, we had some pretty tight plans where we wanted him to hit the gully, which is his favourite shot. So we kind of wanted him to hit his favourite shot by kind of denying him and then giving him a delivery there. Some of the plans off the top of my head, I can't really remember, but that booklet will be around somewhere in a cricket bag. And so we had this. We all had a booklet each, and we'd sort of at the end of the day we'd come back in and just add some notes to it, and then discuss them at the next sort of bowlers meeting or team meeting. But pretty much the top two, because I think Salman opened with, who was at the other end? I can't remember.
Imran Farah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's right. And we just bowled short to those two guys because they're pretty compulsive. So it sounds too cliche, but to bowl short at subcontinent players is sort of an easy option. But there was an element that it was compulsive hooking, and the pitches we played on were reasonably quick and reasonably bouncy, so we could. And I remember getting Salman out 2 or 3 times, bouncing him out, and he'd sort of top edged and fended. And so we knew what we knew our plans were a little bit, I'm not going to say basic, but it was like bowl good here, just bowl good, and with a few bumpers, and they'll hit the bad balls. Like you hit me through the covers quite a bit, and I looked at that footage that you put up the other day, and if I look back at that footage, it's like, well, why didn't I just take my mid off and have another cover? Because you weren't really looking to hit straight. I wasn't bowling for you to hit straight, so I might as well not have a mid off. Keep my mid on, so I can still bowl at your leg stump, but I should have had another cover, and I think that would have shut you down or had you out.
You had a cover at catching position. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I would have.
He was very close to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have had a point, a forward point, and a cover as opposed to the mid off. The mid off could have come into like a forward point sort of thing. And just looking at that footage now, I'd go back and I think that's how I would change, and I would actually probably use that for quite a few more of the team that we played against. Hitting squarer was much preferred to hitting straighter, and I think that's true because the bounce. Some of the pitches were a little bit bouncy, so hitting straighter can be a little bit tougher.
There was one moment of time when you saw that we are hitting on the offside. Then you changed the field. You had a deep point. Then you had an extra cover and a mid off. And still, I think it was my lucky day or something. Whatever I was hitting was just going even between those. I think when you had one fielder on the leg side, if you had that fielder a little bit squarer in front of me, then it would have kept me in two minds. It was there, but it was actually close to me at times. So I think what I was thinking in my mind, the game plan. Sometimes as a batsman, things fall into in the right places as you're thinking in your mind. And luckily, maybe I was making a comeback. So God was a bit kind to me on, giving me those balls that I was thinking, and luckily was making good gaps as well.
Yeah,
But
like I looked at that footage, and I was certainly sort of a stump and a half, two stumps too wide to you, in terms of what I would have wanted to be bowling. And then the cover sweeper would have gone out as protection to stop the bleeding, stop the run scoring. But I look back now, and it's that cover sweeper probably should have been a forward point catcher, or just reshuffled that from point to sort of extra cover. Should have reshuffled that a little bit. Or I could have just bowled a little bit tighter,
I
but
tell
it was good.
you are one of the best fast bowlers. We have played in New Zealand, so you were giving us tough times.
Yeah,
I
like
think
I bowled well. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
I think because it was your last game, I wanted to ask this question. It was your last game. Were you a bit emotional playing that game, or do you think there was something lacking? What are your thoughts about it? I'm just having my assumptions, or maybe I'm thinking in a different way.
No, I sort of look back, and I think I probably bowled the quickest I ever have done in that Test series.
Yeah.
So sorry, I bowled. That was some of the quickest I had bowled, whether it be individual deliveries or as a spell. There was a couple of spells. There were 2 or 3 spells in that third Test match. That was just wow! I couldn't believe how well it was coming out. My body wasn't hurting, and I sort of. Even at the time, I'm looking back going, is there some freedom knowing that I'm not doing this again? Like I can just go out and break my back. I can just go out and it doesn't really matter. Well, it does, but whatever.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about the next game. Or was there freedom? I didn't have to play for my position anymore. I could just go out and bowl. Was there that gave me sort of freedom, or sort of. But then again, there was also this is my last game. I want to go out with New Zealand wanting more, as opposed to going, yeah, okay, cool, thanks, cheers. Well done, but on your way. So I kind of look at it in a couple of different lights, that it actually could have worked against me, because of, sheesh, I do want to leave this good. Or I could have gone into it with, doesn't matter anymore. It's like, my future's sorted sort of thing. I don't know, but I certainly know that was probably the 3 tests. They were easily I bowled close to, if not the best I'd bowled through my career. So I don't know what it was, but it was really cool. It was amazing, because not many players get to retire. Often they're either fall away injured or not selected. So I got to retire, which doesn't happen to too many players.
So what was the reason? Man, sorry to break it down, but can you tell the fans? I think you made your debut in 2005, and you played your last game in 2009. So I've gone through all your stats as well. You've done reasonably well, but I think you didn't played a lot of cricket. Like first class and list A, and you had the potential. And you left early as well. So what are the actually reasons you reckon that would have been the plus and minuses?
Yeah, look, my wife and I, we had wanted children for a long time. I was away for 9 months of the year, and for the other 3 months, children weren't sort of happening. And I wanted simple equation was I wanted children more than I wanted international cricket. It sounds kind of crazy that you can have children at kind of any age, but we were both getting older. It wasn't getting easier. If we wanted 2, if we wanted 3, then we'd have to start. And so the sort of the shakedown of it was that if we wanted kids, I kind of couldn't be traveling with cricket and spending time in New Zealand and wherever else. So I had to make a decision. So my decision was to stop playing cricket and have kids. It's fine. I know I made the right decision. We got two amazing kids, and and life's pretty cool. But but I do look back and go, wow, I got to retire, which is unusual, and we've got kids. That's awesome. And I was pretty lucky. I played 2 tests and then didn't play for 2.5 years. I got dropped because I wasn't good enough, which was cool because I wasn't. And then came back, and then for the last 2.5 years, I played every test except for a couple or one because I was injured, or one series because I was injured. So I did all right in the last 2.5 years. Played majority of test matches. I think it was pretty cool. Like it was awesome.
I think it was a good decision to, if you have sacrificed for the family, I think, and you feel happy after that, it's a blessing that, having a family around and, enjoyed a bit of career and finishing off on a good note.
No, it was a tough decision, but it was also an easy decision because I wanted kids. We wanted kids, and another year is another year that we can't have kids, and that also means if we did want, we were always probably going to have 2, but if we did want 3, well, if we add another year onto it, that makes having the third one, sort of harder. But we wanted to have that time up our sleeves as opposed to, not being there. So I made the right decision, and I certainly miss cricket. And I remember watching the next Test series that New Zealand played was Australia in New Zealand in January, and I think it was Australia and New Zealand, might have been February. And I watched it. It was at base and reserve, and I was crying watching it. But I knew that I'd made the right decision. Like it was fine. It was nice to go out on a good note. Yeah. Not many people get to do that, and I was very, very fortunate. Playing against a pretty good team. It was a good series, one each, and a tie and a drawed one because the rain came.
You did a brilliant job, and I think by looking everything at the back, and admiring it, is the best thing we all can do once, because we all have to take decisions at times. Even I myself, I was playing even till last year, and it was hard for me to make a decision. What should I do? Because I'm already enjoying some coaching and things around. But still, you want to achieve some targets, and as a player, everybody wants to go and play as much as they can. So sometimes it's hard, and you have to. We all have to pack our bags. But coming back to you on your career and your cricket, tell me, how was your experience when you came back from New Zealand to England? I think you started playing some county cricket as well here, and you played for some years for probably Middlesex or Derbyshire or something.
Yeah, I played for Leicestershire in 2009. And then came back to New Zealand, played that the start of the summer in New Zealand, and then retired. When I decided that I was going to finish at the end of the Pakistan series, I then had a friend of mine do some hunting for a county for me to play at because I knew I was going to finish, but I didn't want to finish playing because I still loved playing. So the idea was, right, I'll play here in the UK and I'll play county cricket as an overseas, and then when I get my settlement visa, etc., because I'm married to an English, I'll play as a local. That didn't all quite work out. But so I finished 2009. I'd played with Leicestershire the previous season, and then played 2010 with Middlesex, which was that was pretty cool. That time living in London, I'd never lived in London, so living in London, getting to know the city, getting to know Lords as a home ground was, that's sort of...
Lucky you, man.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like, it's kind of a strange one. Yeah, every work day was dragging my bag through the long room at Lords, and it's sort of, not too many people get to walk through there in shorts and tracksuits, and not too many people get to do that. So that was kind of weird, sort of strange, but yeah, great. Had a good time there. Wished I wasn't injured. So an injury did finish me there, but had a good time with Middlesex. So the idea was to keep playing for as long as I could. Unfortunately, I ripped a hammy off my backside, and that sort of made that pretty tough. Rehab didn't really work. Surgery didn't work that well. So I had to. I still try and I have been playing a little bit. When you come over and we catch up with ICA. What is it?
I think we
IC.
played a game together as well at IC a couple of years back.
Yeah. We played
you were bowling
together.
quick.
Oh, well, bowling quick. Yeah, the arm still goes over.
It's just
The lower back. The lower back is it hurts, man. It's too many pills to get warmed up now, and too many pills to warm down.
Now as well. When I play a 50 over game, it's hard to wake up in the morning next day.
It just doesn't get any easier. So I haven't played for quite a while, and I don't miss hurting. I really don't miss hurting. I was supposed to have a few injections in my lower back when I got back from New Zealand, sort of about a month ago, but they were all put off because of this whole virus thing. So I was supposed to have a new kind of injection process to sort of ease some of the pain in my lower back, which hasn't happened. But yeah, I don't miss hurting for 4 days after bowling 10 overs, which is what it's like now. So I don't miss it. Every now and again, out for a show game, like with yourself and those sort of things. They're good fun, but not too many.
Yeah, I can imagine. Let me get back to some international cricket. We all are going through this COVID-19, and all over the world, all of the sports have been struggling really bad. You're in England, and I'm sure you've been reading all around the global cricket. They're saying that let's have indoor cricket, the indoor games they're talking about these days. And probably I think England is starting their series. They have to start against Pakistan, I think, or probably West Indies for some games. And they said they're going to do it indoors. So what are your thoughts about it, about indoor cricket, and what do you think? Because I recently had a bit of experience in PSL last game. They had an empty stadium game, and it was just like nobody wanted to play. The players, they didn't even enjoy it. There was no crowd. And I felt that the performances did affect it when the players played in an empty stadium. So I don't know how it's going to come for international cricket, but what are your thoughts about it?
No, certainly indoor is not really an option because it's a completely different sort of style. Like I think indoor cricket is a fantastic sport to itself. With the bouncy nets and those sort of different rules. I love that game, and I played for New Zealand in indoor cricket for a few World Cups, but different game completely. Cricket has to be played outside, or in a stadium. There's a couple of stadiums around that have got roofs that they can play out. There's one in Melbourne, and they've played in Cardiff under a roof. Not very good, the one at Cardiff, because of the boundaries are a bit too small, but it has happened. You're playing on grass kind of pitches and things like that, but it has to be outside. It wouldn't bother me not having a crowd at all, because half of the time you play in New Zealand domestically, there's no crowd anyway.
Grounds, yeah.
So if you kind of need a crowd to make you play better, I know it can happen, and I have experienced it. The first test against you guys in Dunedin, the crowd was genuinely our 12th player. Our crowd was amazing. That was the first time I'd ever noticed a crowd making a difference. So that was amazing. But that's about the only time. So I would play behind closed doors every day of the week, just to be playing. You can be TV cameras there and et cetera, et cetera. So it still is still worthwhile playing, but to not have a crowd there wouldn't bother me at all. It does take away as a spectacle, because crowd reactions are fantastic, but it wouldn't bother me as a player, because I wasn't good enough to sort of worry about the crowd or to feed off them too much. I had to give all my energy to what I was doing. So the crowd really didn't. Most of my career.
I think it might affect the shorter version probably, because in T20 cricket, the players get very hyped up as well. They need the crowds all around. Maybe because I'm talking about from our Asian point of view. I'm not sure about the other countries like Australia and New Zealand.
I get that. I get that. There is a crazy energy in the subcontinent. You know, the passion and the fever that that some supporters come down with. You know, it's like they've been struck from God, or you know, something. There is this fantastic energy, and I understand that the energy that the crowd can give you in the subcontinent. I absolutely understand that, and that it would be strange to play behind, you know, with no crowd, with no energy. But at the same stage, Pakistan crowds, Pakistan supporters, they're pretty nasty when it's not going too good. Might be quite fun. Might be quite fun not having to hear some of that. But look, yeah, not having a crowd isn't great. But if there's cricket being played and there's cricket on TV, we get back into the normal cycle of talking about cricket. We get back into the normal cycle of talking about incidences. You know, we get talking about runouts that shouldn't have been, and catches that were maybe, you know, we get back to talking about normal things as opposed to reminiscing is good. Reminiscing is great fun, but it's there is a massive demand for live sport. And look, it may come down to that New Zealand and Australia may be the first couple of countries to host cricket because the way the countries have sort of dealt with slowing down its transmission. And New Zealand, for example, there's almost no new cases for the last week and a half. Although it is heading towards winter, so maybe no sport in New Zealand, but there are chances it might happen in the north of Australia, Darwin and Cairns, maybe, so there might be a chance for international cricket over what is the English summer, but the sort of northern part of Australia in there, well, it's winter kind of, but might work. We'll see. It'll be nice to get some sport back on the TV. But reminiscing is
definitely,
cool.
we all are looking for keeping our fingers crossed, and we all are expecting that as soon as these things get away, we get back to our. You spoke about New Zealand. In Pakistan, a lot of people have a big respect for the New Zealand Prime Minister. Jessica.
Ardern.
Yeah, I think she's one of the top leaders around the world, which we have seen, and she in Pakistan, after that incident happened in New Zealand, a lot of people have supported her, and the way she took off stand for everyone. She's well respected in Pakistan, and especially in our part of the world.
No, I think she. I love her. I think she's a fantastic Prime Minister for New Zealand right now. She's got the sort of looking after the people as opposed to the economy. She's got to put the people first before the economy. And at the moment, I think that's great. Even before this, we go back to the shooting in Christchurch. I went past that mosque a week before the anniversary of that massacre, and beautiful place, full, busy. But security guards outside, so it's a bit, that's a bit sad and a bit strange. But I think New Zealand Prime Minister dealt with that just amazingly, with so much care and getting the small details right in terms of traditions, in terms of how you dress and greet and talk to, and those traditions, which in New Zealand we're kind of used to because of Māori traditions, and making sure that we get those traditions right for the sort of the indigenous or the regional people in New Zealand. So we're pretty good at getting those, making sure we get our language right around other cultures, because we've always been quite, well, not always, but a lot of New Zealanders have been respectful of community and culture traditions. So she got it right, and sad it had to happen. But she's dealing with a lot. She's dealing with a lot in her first term. But she's an amazing lady, and she's just had a baby. She's got a baby as well. It's just, she's pretty cool.
She's amazing. I think
I'm a massive fan.
She's done a brilliant job. Coming back to some international cricket. So your point of view is that if cricket resumes, even if we play in the empty stadiums, it should go ahead. That's what your point is, right? So
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely right, because end
Look,
of the day, we all want cricket to start and everyone
yeah.
to play.
I don't think, if we have three people in a great big huge stand, it almost is worse than having just an empty stand. It's, sort of, because how do you cater? I just think, certainly, the New Zealand played against Australia in Australia, one, maybe two, with empty crowds, and it did feel strange, but it just meant that camera angles that we were used to they had to evolve, and they had to make them different. Look, I watch wrestling. I watch WWE and AEW wrestling. Whatever. I love it. I love the pantomime, the drama.
You still think that they've got a genuine results in that game?
No. It's all scripted. I have no problem there. But what they do is phenomenal. But they're still making shows with no crowds, and so they've had to change where their camera angles are to produce footage for TV that doesn't make it feel like it's an empty venue. So they've evolved, and they've had to change a lot of those parts about it. So cricket will kind of have to do the same. We'll see more higher up cameras looking down, as opposed to ground level cameras looking across with crowd in the background. So we'll just change some of the angles, focus more on player interactions, focus more on the strange quirks of players, little ticks, little tells, and we actually can have a chance to really watch what happens out there a little bit more, and you get to watch what is serious and what isn't serious during a period of play, because it can't always be serious, whether it's a grumpy little chat, or whether it's a fun little chat, like we had a bit of, I'm not going to say it wasn't not grumpy. It wasn't not, trying to unsettle. But that was what that was. I had good fun with Mohammed Yusuf. We just had a laugh the whole time. But I wanted to get him laughing, get him not feeling so serious.
I tell you why Yusuf was laughing. Because Yusuf don't know any English, so he only way he had to get away his laugh.
His English is okay. His English was all right, and I've spoken to him since, and we had a good conversation about the first words he said to me. You still bowling bouncers? Because I bowled him a lot of bouncers, and we had fun when we were talking to each other, and he was batting with one of the Akmals a lot. And he was just whacking it everywhere. Mohammed Yusuf's telling him to, Aram say. And I'm just laughing, because there was no way he just kept banging fours and taking big swings, and there was nothing Mohammed Yusuf could do. So there was just this kind of fun atmosphere where now the cameras get to actually look a little bit closer into how players talk to each other and what they're talking about. And I think that for me is a lot more interesting. I love looking at players' body language and how they interact with each other. And that's why going and watching live cricket is a bit different than watching on TV, because you get to see, when the ball goes from second slip to gully to mid-off, you get to see gully and mid-off, play a game with the throws and trying to swing it in the air so you get to see the more interactions. I'd love to see more of that when it gets back on TV. Sort of analyzing people watching people that are extraordinary at what they do, but what they do when they don't have to be extraordinary. I think that's quite a fun thing to look forward to.
Absolutely, you're totally right. One question I want to ask you before finishing off. I was going through some of your articles and your statements. I'm sure we all are watching it through a lot of in our part of the world, and especially world cricket. There's a lot of match fixing issues going around with the players from years and years. And we in Pakistan, the cricket has really destroyed careers of players with this thing. And recently we are going through with this Umar Akmal thing, and a lot of players some years back in PSL. What are your thoughts about it? Because I am quite vocal about it, of the countries who have made laws of banning them forever, or ban them like 10 years or something, like Sri Lanka have done, like South Africa has done, like New Zealand have done. So I'm always against this point of people that who say, "Oh, let them come back after some time. Oh, they must have made a small mistake." Because I know if a player knows that he made a mistake once, there is a possibility that once he gets clear, he will find a better way to do it again the next time. So
Mm.
that's my opinion. What are your thoughts about it when you see certainly a lightning struck in New Zealand cricket when that happened some years back?
Yeah, look, it's tough, and there's a bigger issue. Um, well, look, fixing is one issue, but the other issue is that if you start talking about it, you're if you have media work, it dries up pretty quickly because that's the one thing that you're not allowed to talk about in the media, which is why we never have it. We never hear it talked about. Because if you do talk about it, you won't be broadcasting or in cricket media. You make yourself, well, the job opportunities dry up. So I don't really talk about it anymore. I was really vocal about it a wee while. I got pretty angry at cricket. There's one thing for me that I will always in terms of what it is. If you did do something, then you get your 2-year ban and you get to come back and cool, fine, all right. But if you were one of the people that got someone to do it, then you get a life ban. You're out. You're gone. Um,
Absolutely.
so if you make a mistake and do something once and you get caught, then you get your 2 years and you get to come back. You know, but if you're the one that's corrupting someone else, that's the end. That's it. You're gone. And and I'm and I'll stand by that. And I don't think that's been an opinion of mine for a long time, and I've had that floating around for quite some time. But the smaller details of it's hard to talk about, man, because it's
Yeah, it's something that has corrupt a game, a beautiful game, because in our part of the world there are players like me, who have always thought about wearing the flag very proudly on the chest, and always wanted to do best for the side. And once when we see the other players, who have done all that from years and years and years, suddenly you find new players coming and doing it. So then I come to a point that there should be a law, some kind of a law, where at least you can set an example for the next coming generation. Because if there is there is no example for setting for the next generation, then it will going to come on and on and on. So my opinion is that there should be some kind of a criminal law or some kind of things which I think ICC should make it once and for all, that it should be applied for all the cricketing nation once. But if they found, because these laws of 2.1, 2.3, 3.4, there are too many loopholes in there, and the players just get away with it. So that's my opinion, and I respect your opinion as well. And I hope that this thing will sort
I
it out
don't
in a
I
better
don't
way.
I don't know if it can be written into the cricket laws, but I certainly it should be written into country performance. Sort of like here in the UK, it's illegal to defraud a betting agency. Now, betting is illegal in Pakistan anyway,
Yeah.
so you can't. So you can't gamble in Pakistan. Um, so there's no way that you could bring in a law to do that because you can't gamble in Pakistan. So the law has to represent the area. New Zealand and certainly Australia, England have laws that can kind of help. But where gambling is illegal anyway, how do you have a law that says that if you are underperforming for someone else's benefit, well, what's illegal about that? Because you can't gamble anyway. So there's a lot of other things that have to happen before you can, you have to recognize that gambling is a part of society, and you then have to legislate and understand the intricacies and the rules that then come into play, because if someone did underperform, what have they done? They haven't done anything because you can't bet on it. So do you see what I mean? So there's a lot that I think some governments have to, India, you can't gamble. Pakistan, you can't gamble. It's like, well, but it happens. So legislate it. Take some tax off it, for goodness sake. Make some tax off it and help, all those sort of things. There's a lot of ground level work that governments have to just wake up and realize. For me, I think that they have to just go, well, it is a normal part of society. Let's legislate it, take some tax off the top, and get on with it. And then there can be legal, not cricket laws. There can be legal ramifications for people that underperform for whatever reason. But it's still not as easy as that. There's a lot of reasons why people get suckered into it and end up almost having to do it because of just the necessity to make some money. And I know it sounds horrible, but I kind of understand it for some people in some places and sometimes. But I also feel it's imagine playing with someone and finding out that you've missed out on winning matches because of underperforming players. So it's a toughie, but I think it has to start with the country's betting laws or having betting laws. Yeah,
absolutely, you're right. All we can do is just keep our fingers crossed that we hope that this dirty menace should stay away from cricket, and the cricketers should play their cricket as clean as they can, whichever part of the world they're playing. I've got my last two questions with you. One important question I want to ask is, whenever a team from subcontinent tours to New Zealand, what do New Zealand strategize about the team coming from subcontinent, like team from Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and India? Definitely, there are different reasons of skills from different countries. You'll find different players from different countries from subcontinent, better batsmen or something. But what is the New Zealand strategy when they see Pakistan is coming? What do they normally do? Because when we tour to New Zealand, all we need to think about is a lot of swing and a lot of seam. That's all we will be only worried about. Even if we play on the flattest deck anywhere, we know it's going to swing or seam in the air. So it's always been in our mind. So what do the New Zealanders think when they prepare for teams like us?
We always, there's always the cliche, and it's always a joke in the bowling meeting. Just bowl them bouncers. It's fine. Let's just bowl them bouncers. And it's a cliche and it's a joke, yeah? But there is still some truth in it. Because when we see you come here, and when we see the Indian team, the Sri Lankan team, the Bangladesh team, the Pakistan team, when we see you train, watching you train shows us what you're doing and what you're worried about. So we often see subcontinental teams coming to New Zealand and bringing along a big concrete slab so they can bounce tennis balls off it and do lots of short ball practice. And so we kind of feed off what you're doing at training. And, some of the, leading up to one-day series, leading up to a test series, there's always a little bit of crossover when the teams will train. You'll just be leaving and we'll just be arriving. There'll be some people go down early and we'll see what's happening and what's going on. So there's a little bit of it is governed. If we see you guys doing lots of short ball stuff, well, that becomes an obvious thing for us to have a go at until we don't, until it's not working. But there is I think typically we bowl wider to some, to Asian nations. We bowl a fraction wider of off stump, just because you are so good at hitting the ball from stumps and from, typically, again, it's a cliche, the working onto the onside is better than how we trust our hands. And so we do bowl probably a stump wider, but then it's just individual stuff. The plans don't change a lot. just outside off stump, just about bail height, that's always going to be a good ball. We may just have to shift it, an inch or two for you guys, and if we can do that, that's fine. But look, the easy one is we bowl short balls for dot balls and wickets, because if we do get under your skin and you do get a little bit agitated, then we know that the personality will come out and there'll be some aggressive shots, and whoever makes the first mistake, isn't it? And that's what Test cricket is beautiful, because I'm waiting for you to make the mistake. If I can't get you out by bowling full, I'm going to try and get you out by bowling short. That means I've had to change first. You've won, but you then have to make sure that you don't get suckered in, which is, it does feel a little bit easier to wind you guys up a little bit, to wind, not the Sri Lankans more so, a little bit easier to wind Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh up a little bit, not wind you up, but just get you
in the skin,
just get you just a little bit off where you're involved in something, and sometimes that works for you, and sometimes it works against us, but and it doesn't have to be. It can just be a couple of bounces and a look. It doesn't have to be any verbal or things like that. But we didn't change a lot, but we knew that we would use our short ball more often. That's just how it goes.
So is the same strategy going in now as well, or New Zealand have changed their strategy with the touring teams now?
Look, I think they're more skillful now. The bowlers in the New Zealand team now are certainly way more skillful than I was by some distance. I think they're an amazing group of bowlers at the moment. So our plans back then were mostly just do that all day with a couple of bouncers. I think the guys now are a lot more skillful, and they can start, dragging you across the stumps, sort of getting, starting it out at 8th stump and having you play through the covers, or leaving and then dragging it back and looking for LBWs. I mean, we didn't really look for LBWs against you guys at all. I think the New Zealand team now takes you across, leave, and then the swinging back in, with Trent, Wagner, and then Southey just pushing one in that doesn't swing away. I think they're a lot more skillful, and can bowl to get wickets more often. They've certainly got better pitches to bowl on.
I think my question was, I think the leagues, these players are playing around the globe now, these T20 leagues. I reckon this has helped them around, improving their skills. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to, as a batter especially, I'd love to be playing all over the world in all of these different leagues, playing the Caribbean, playing Australia, playing New Zealand, playing Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, not India, sorry for you guys, that's a sad one. But what I mean, playing in South Africa and playing the UK. I'd love that life as a batsman, because you just get this massive piece of knowledge of, this pitch is like that one that we played on back then over in that country, and it feels kind of the same pace, same bounce. So you've just got this massive resource. I think that's awesome for a bowler. I don't. For a bowler,
one of the New Zealand bowlers was in our team, Mitch McLeish. So he was with me in my franchise team, and we were having a nice chat about how the players have been adopting in this time about playing all over the world, and he was just saying the same thing, the amount of experience they had playing in IPL and PSL and all these leagues. It helped them being a mature bowlers by themselves, and even batters as well, playing in New Zealand.
He's a good guy, Mitch McClenaghan. He is the cheapest, best IPL player, I think, of all time. What he does for Mumbai, that he doesn't get paid for in terms of his auction price, etc. He's the cheapest, best player I think there ever has been in that league. I would love to look at some of those stats, but he's phenomenal. And he's benefited from playing. on a lot of subcontinental pitches. So he's had to vary his bouncer
Yeah.
pace. He can't just bowl a quick bouncer. He's had to change the pace on his bouncer.
Yeah.
And then he's had to change the in-between lengths. I think he's a fantastic bowler. And yeah, mate, he's certainly improved because of playing in different countries and on different pitches and against world-class players. You know, he's I would have him. I'd have him in my team. That's for sure. I don't want to face him. That's why.
My last question, Ian. Tell the fans about like what you're doing now and what are your future plans, and because we all know that you do a lot of YouTube videos, and what are you doing? What are your future plans? Are you in coaching? Or you just tell our fans about it?
Yeah, look, I'm going back to university. So I start university on Monday, I think it is. 18th. I start university. So I'm going back to do MSc, so Masters of Science in psychology. So psychology is something I've been interested in for a long time, in terms of certainly around mental health and getting the best out of yourself and how to be a comfortable, happy human in a society that is can be quite tough. So I'm going back to do some psychology, not for the sports psychology side of it, more for the human. So I'm going back to look at basically my goal is to be the person that I wish I had in the changing room. I wish we had someone that, whether it was an assistant coach or whether it was someone that we had in the group, that would understand how more of us worked and ticked and could have helped. So someone that could have helped me be better in the changing room, because I was terrible in the changing room. I hated it. I didn't do very good at it. And so my goal is to sort of take care of the person behind the player. So I'm going back. So I'm going to go and do some university, do a couple of years university, take out a master's. I really want to turn it into a doctorate, a PhD, and I've already got one, maybe sort of two areas to do a thesis on. So so in the next couple of years, it's university with a little bit of whatever I can do to make some pocket money, and then coaching. Yes, maybe coaching, but it's more the psychology side of it that I want to dive into. Whether that comes in addition to being an assistant coach or whatever. Certainly this doing the psychology stuff, I want to have, a head coach, whatever, but it's about making sure that happy people will make better players, and then the more results happen. So university for a while, and then job hunting, I guess, trying to get people to look with the T20 leagues. It's really easy for people to get stuck in ruts, not just in bad form, but in bad moods, and not being in. You're always traveling, you're always tired, and it's very easy to get into some really bad habits, which turn you into a not as nice a person, or as not as kind, as generous, as giving. And so there's so many players around the world now whose schedules, actually the person needs looking after, not just the player. The person needs some love, needs some care. And so I think we could do that better. And so that's kind of what I want to focus on is looking after the people, and the playing side of it will sort of look after itself. Get people better sleep, let people deal with their emotions a lot better. We've never been taught how to celebrate success. We've never ever been taught how to how to deal with failure, whether that be team or individual. We've never been taught how to do those things. I think we're a little bit late on doing some of those things. Let's look after our emotions and have better people and better players. So that's kind of what I want to do. A little bit utopian, a little bit, sort of perfect world, but I think there's a big space for it. And if it fits in alongside some coaching, then great, that's cool. But it's you know,
That's
look
brilliant.
after,
That's
after the
brilliant.
people.
Ian, I wish you all the very best of what your plans are, and you have always been a gem of a person. Although we had some nice, nasty verbal stuff going
It
around,
wasn't
which is part
nasty.
of the game, and I love
It
it.
wasn't nasty.
In our part of the world, we think in a different way, but I can
Yeah.
understand from your part
I
of the
think I
world.
was just telling you to hit it harder. I don't think you need to hit it harder. I was just probably telling you to hit it harder. You know,
And
can
I
you
was
hit this one
batting
along
with,
the ground? It was
yeah.
probably just dumb stuff.
The funny part in that game was actually I was making my comeback, and I didn't wanted to bat at number three. I no way I wanted to bat because I got dropped many times in the previously as well at batting at number three. I hate it, and at that moment I was in, like you said, the mental side of thing. I was just all doing by myself. At one side, I knew this would be my last game of my career, or I can follow on after this test match to Australia if I do something. So it was all just lifting yourself up mentally and physically, and God was kind, and slowly and gradually things go on.
Keep
But
talking about it like you scored a triple hundred. You didn't get many. You didn't get many in one innings.
it was just between you and me, so I was just having a bit of a laugh.
And you've missed out on the flattest batting track in the world, really. So, but you keep talking it up like you scored 340. Jeez,
But
well,
you know what? I enjoy in Wellington. Always been very windy. You are from Wellington, right? And I've been there 3 times. Really a good time there. We played quite a lot of couple of test games there as well, and some side games. Very windy. From our part of the world, it's very difficult to probably bat. And I was talking to some of our bowlers as well before the test match in Wellington when we played, and they were literally saying to me that it's really hard to bowl, and I can imagine how tough it would have been for the local Wellington fast bowlers to get through with it. Yeah,
it was all right for me. I've got this big nose that helps make the wind go around my face, so I can just push into it, and it pushes me into like a slipstream. So
and
it's
those
fine.
days you have a little bit more hair as well, so you could have.
Yeah.
But thank you very much, Ian. Thank you for your time.
That's all good.
शुक्रिया बहुत just want to say the fans के आप लोगों को बहुत अच्छा लगा होगा ये शो. आप कमेंट्स में ज़रूर बता सकते हैं कि इयन ओब्रायन ने जो बातें की वो आपको कैसी लगी, और ज़रूर मैं आपके कमेंट्स का इंतजार करूँगा और उसके ऊपर जो है वो डिस्कस करूँगा. एंड मेक श्योर कि आप जो है चैनल के ऊपर चीज़ें देखते रहें, उसको सब्सक्राइब करते रहें और अपने कमेंट्स देते रहें. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच Ian. I hope you like my Urdu as well, which you must have picked up some words, and we'll keep in touch on social media, and I'll see you next time as well. You take care. Regards to Mrs. and regards to family. Cheers, buddy.
See ya.